Hi, it's Rob from Home Affordability Solutions. I just wanted to um, introduce a new shared equity expansion to help Western Australians into a home. This is a government scheme of utilizing shared equity. Now, just to clarify, the government shared equity program is under the category of shared ownership. So what that means is you enter into an agreement to buy a house, and 30 to 35% of that house is owned by the government. In other words, you are both on title. That is a big difference when you're looking at home ownership. You're now sharing the home and the equity with the government, where with the housing affordability solutions, you're only sharing the equity above what you pay. So we're going to get into that a little bit more, but let's just have a quick look. This is a really good initiative. I've been in real estate for a while in Western Australia, and we have utilized this product quite a bit. So I'm not putting it down or anything. It is a good product for those that would qualify. It's called Urban Connect. It is so clients can now purchase apartments and townhouses. It's not for the traditional 4x2 houses or anything like that. It's not for that. Um, as it says right here, up to 1,000 shared equity loans available for new apartments and townhouses. So if you're not looking for a townhouse or uh, an apartment, this is not for you. And the other difference with the Housing Affordability Solutions, which is our shared equity program, you can buy a house, you can do house and land package, you can be an investor. It's all open for you and very postcode friendly. So the new initiative will be delivered by Keystart. Keystart in WA is the lender for this scheme. And again, we have utilized this in the past, so it's not a bad program. But we're going to just do a quick comparison so you can understand how it works. So the Urban Connect shared equity, if you were to buy a new apartment for 730,000, the government would be in a position to share up to 35% of that ownership with you. So in other words, you would maybe raise a 65% loan, and the government would have a 35% stake in that particular property, if that makes sense. You still have to have a 2% deposit on top of that as well. So what we're going to do is, if we were to compare that particular product to our product, we are just as a reminder, working with buyers who, like many that might be attracted to a shared equity scheme, a government scheme, can afford to buy a house, pay the bills on time. They're just deposit challenged at this stage. Could be a life event. Maybe you gave up on trying to buy. We don't judge. We just know that there's people who don't have a full deposit that, in my experience as both a real estate agent and a finance broker, can afford to buy a house. So that our structure is a little bit different. You will go to the bank and get an 80% loan. You come up with 2.5% deposit. So there's a slight difference there. For the Keystart products, it's only 2% deposit. And we will lend you 17.5% of the purchase price. And that represents the shared equity component. Now, the biggest difference is that is shared equity above what you paid for the property. So if you paid 730,000, you own that property 100%. Whereas if you buy it through the government scheme, you only own 60%, 5% of that property. So it's a major difference. So you now own 100% of the house. If you go with us, you only have to have a 2.5% deposit, and you're sharing equity, you're not sharing ownership. So you will share some equity on anything above 730,000. So let's look at that from the perspective of what it might look like on a calculator. So with us, if you buy the house for 730,000, you still have a small deposit of only 18,250. Now, here's another big difference between us and the shared equity program in WA, delivered by Keystart, is our deposit is non-genuine savings. So what that means is it can come from the first home buyer grant. It can come from, for those who are interested in building a house, for example, you get $10,000 federal grant here, to build a house. that is considered a deposit. You can get a gift from your parents. You can sell an asset, motorcycle, jet ski, whatever, and that can form your deposit. So that's a big, big difference in when you're looking at genuine savings versus non-genuine savings. Your finance broker will go get you an 80% loan. That'll be loan number one, and Home Affordability Solutions will provide 17.5% loan. That'll be loan number two. Now, if you only borrow 17.5%, that will represent your shared equity, not shared ownership, shared equity. So that property, anything above 730,000, when you go to refinance, sell, or whatever the case may be, you will share whatever you borrow from us. We'll say 17.5 for this example. You will share, if it goes up 100,000, you will share 17,500, sorry, 17.5%. Now, if that same example, that property goes up to 830,000 and you want to try and pay out the government, you will have to pay them 35% of the total amount, which is 290,500. So it's a massive difference in product. I'm not saying it's not for everybody, but just perhaps look at your options. I strongly recommend that you work with a finance broker in your area. The finance brokers are on top of all of these products. If you're attracted to try to get in with a low deposit, ask them about the Home Affordability Solutions, which is us, as I believe we have a far superior product. Obviously, I'm biased, but if this is something that you think you might qualify for and want to learn a little bit more about it, there's a link in there to book at a time with me direct, or you can go to your finance broker and find out a bit more. Thanks for your time and good luck.